Engines roar on a moonlit stage, steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night, tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues, truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles, stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues, truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels and endless miles, stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing fine tonight. I hope you had a good day of trucking out there. I had a good day of trucking. Got a little behind this morning. Had some hazmat issues that I had to straighten out before I could ever hit that big concrete slab out there. Had to make sure that paperwork was right. Everything matched up with the placards that was on the trailer and the UN numbers. Something wasn't jiving, and that's why you got to check that paperwork whenever you're hauling hazmat. You should be checking that paperwork with anything that you're hauling there. But I hope y'all had a good day of trucking today, and we got a show lined up for you tonight. So if you're not here, you can catch it on the replay, but I think you should be here because we got a trucker, a legend in his own right, Remy Braun, and he's going to come on and he's going to talk about how he got into trucking, some of his achievements that he's had in the trucking industry. We're just going to dive right into it with Remy tonight, but I'm excited about this show. I'm excited about this show each and every Thursday night, and I want to thank each and every one of you out there that tunes into Truckers' Voices. I know that we wouldn't have no audience if it wasn't for you, so I just want to, give y'all an applause right now for tuning in. Thank y'all very much. So without further ado, we got somebody to bring in here, and it's a co-host called Steve Brand.
Me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty.
Definitely riding dirty with all his rain coming in and going out. I'm
Steve,
telling you.
You've been riding dirty in that white truck.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Of course, I've been off the last couple Thursdays and Fridays in a row, and I'm going to be off tomorrow. And then when I come back, decide I'm going to wash that filthy thing.
Y'all know what? I got to remind everybody, you can wash the truck or you can wash it. And when he says wash, that's really clean right there.
Exactly. That's a spick and span clean, baby. That's spick and span thing.
Steve, go ahead and get this out of the way right here on the screen.
Well, we're going to put it out there. The views expressed on this show are those of the host and the guest only and do not reflect those of others. And like I always say, don't get offended. Take that feeling hanging on the doorpost. We don't need it.
It's because we all have opinions, and you know what opinions are like. Everybody's got one, and we got our opinion here, right?
Exactly. And we don't mean to offend anybody, So it is what it is. But hey, I just got to say, last Friday I went to the truck show. Mm-hmm. And those of you that are friends with me on Facebook, you've probably seen a couple pics I put out there. But I had the most awesome time. And the best thing about that time, was I got to meet about a half a dozen guests that we've had on this show that I never got to meet in person, only on this computer screen, and I got to meet them in person. And boy, it was awesome. It
You
was
know, isn't it nice when you go to a truck show like that, Steve, and you know people and they know you, and y'all recognize each other, and you just kind of feel like your family. And that's what I love about the trucking industry is that it's the trucking family is what it is. You don't meet the strangers. I mean, yeah, it's not like it used to be. You know, somebody used to would stop on the side of the road and help you out. It ain't like that anymore. But there's certain drivers out there that still got that old mentality of, hey, I need to stop and help that driver out because he's family.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. But like I said, it was awesome to meet them. And there again, I walked up and said, "Hi, how you doing?" So, "Well, how you doing, Steve?" You know, and got that invite out there. If they want to come back on the show, man, just give us a call, send us an email, send us a text, whatever, and we'll pencil you in and we'll get you back on that show
Yep, yep.
because everybody's got something to say. You know,
Everybody's got to say. I
I
see.
mean,
I
that's
seen
the
you was. I seen you was hooked up with Bob and Deb Murphy out there.
Yes, I was. Boy, you talk about a hoot now. You talk about a hoot. And uh we talked about it. First thing we said, I said, man, I really appreciate y'all stopping on a ramp in the middle of downtown Chicago. Just talk to us. Just
I'll
to
never.
talk to us.
I'll never forget that night we had them on the podcast, and yep, they had to get on a ramp just to do the podcast, but I was glad that they did it.
Yes.
So
I
anyway,
can't wait to get them back.
absolutely. Well, Steve, I got to congratulate you. You are one of the finalists for Ohio Driver of the Year, and whoever that Driver of the Year is, y'all will find out tomorrow night. I hope
Yes.
it's you, man. I hope that it's your year for sure.
Well, we hope so, but I tell you what, if it's not me, I'm gonna congratulate the winner and give him my number and we can chit chat just like I did with Raekwon last year. And I got to try to get Raekwon on the show. And but yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate all the congrats and the prayers and the thoughts and all that and everything. And that's 2 weeks in a row. Last week at the truck show, that's why I was at the truck show. I was actually one of the top 6 finalists of TA Petro Citizen Driver of the Year.
Yep.
And those 3 gentlemen, thank you. Uh, those 3 gentlemen, outstanding professional drivers, outstanding individuals. Uh, good grief. I was they put everything up there on the board these gentlemen have done, and I'm like, why am I here?
Well,
But you know, man, it's an honor and a privilege. And our guest Remy's going to tell you the same thing that I'm getting ready to tell. We get up every morning, put them clothes on, put them boots on, and jump behind that wheel, and we do it for 2 reasons: supply food and pay our bills for our family, and get home to our family, and keep everybody safe. You know, and every year you get a safety award or something like that. I'm not looking at awards every day. I'm looking at safety. Get me home, get you home, get everybody home, safe and sound. If the awards drop, they drop. You know what I'm saying? And I think you can agree to that, Tim. And we just, OTA put a bio out there on their page for me, and I read that and I thought, man, who's that guy? That's a pretty good guy. I'd like to beat that guy, And you don't realize what you do because I can't speak for anybody but myself.
right,
I go out every day and do what I love, and that's drive a truck.
right,
You know,
right.
and then when I get the opportunity to go on events and teach safety and things like that, that's what I love doing. You know, get people interested in this industry because, like we all say, I ain't missed a paycheck or a meal yet. It's a good industry,
Yep.
good industry. So
Absolutely. And, you have to be safe. And I always, my motto was, look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. But it has to be done mile marker to mile marker. You have to have, a safe day from mile marker to mile marker. And,
yes, sir.
when you do that every day, like you said, the rewards come in, but your reward every day is to, walk home and hug your family, hug your wife, hug your kids. That's a reward that you get every day.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
The pride is backing in that driveway or pulling in your garage or whatever and getting out and it's I don't want to get too off here, but I look up and say thank you, Lord, for another successful day.
So if I cough tonight, I'm battling some sinuses here, so I'm fixing to eat another cough drop.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Well, we got enough rain up here. I think it's kind of taking that mold and everything and chilling it out a little bit, but it's all good. But
Let's bring our guest on in here, Steve.
sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, everybody, Mr. Remy Braun. Brown.
Exactly.
How you doing, brother?
Hanging in there, hanging in there.
Bring him on here, Steve.
Well, I don't know what to say. What can you say? It's just Remy Braun. I mean, I seen you a couple weeks down there in Atlanta, man. It was great seeing you again.
Yep.
And but ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Remy Braun. Remy, tell us who you are and what you do and how you've been doing it and why you doing it and how you doing it. And
Remy, we always bring everybody in on the Rocky theme because we know that we have champions in our midst, and we always bring everybody in on that theme there. So you are a champion in your own right.
yes,
That's
sir.
right. That's it. That's a good team thong. Where do I start? Born and raised on a dairy farm in Minnesota. My dad drove truck, local dump trucks, milk trucks, picking up milk, and never far back as I can remember, I sat in that side seat riding with my dad, knowing this is what I want to do, drive truck. And my dad sold the dairy farm in 81 or 82. So I wasn't going to be working on dairy farm. So I knew before I graduated high school, I was going to join the Army and drive truck in the Army. And I did that for 2.5, 3 years, year and a half reserves. Bought my first truck in 1990, 91. Did 6, 7 years as an owner operator out of Minnesota. Been driving truck, started driving truck in December of 85 in Savannah, Georgia in the United States Army. And just been loving life and living the dream. I mean, it's what I want to do. It's just what I've been doing for far back. It's what I like, what I love doing. I mean, I've been everywhere, all lower 48s. I've been in drove truck in Turkey in the Army. I mean, so what I haven't done or what I haven't hauled is basically nothing. I mean, I've done pretty much everything. Last 27 years, same company. Got bought out, D&D Sexton for 25 years, bought out by CFI, which now Heartland owns, but still I haven't changed. I haven't filled out an application in 27 years, almost 28 years.
Now, how big a company was D&D Sexton?
D&D was about 110 trucks, probably 300 trailers, 2 dispatchers. You didn't have to, you didn't have a truck. You didn't have a driver ID. You just called and they knew who you were.
Right.
The owner had an open door policy. You could walk in there and talk to him anytime you wanted to when he was there. Just a good little truck company. Best little truck company in Missouri it was. It was sad when the boss died 4 years ago, March. And then, it was time for a change. So CFI bought us up and we've been just still going after it,
Right.
So Remy, tell us a little bit about the early days of trucking and how you actually learn how to drive a truck, and just kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Well, it's like I say, I spent 18 years in the side seat watching my dad drive, backing up 2 trailers. He backed up 2 trailers hauling milk in Minnesota. And so I joined the Army, went through basic and AIT in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And then when I got stationed in Savannah, I did my road trip with my platoon sergeant. We went around the base and we come back and parked. And his first question was, how long you been driving truck? I said, what do you mean? He says, in the civilian world. I said, Sarge, I'm 18 years old, just got out of high school. He said, you sure impressed me. I said, well, 18 years watching my dad drive, far back as I can remember. And military for that time, and then got out and drove up there in Minnesota. I did live turkey hauls, cab over international trucks, Armstrong power steering, to it's just back in the 80s, you know, it's just you got in there and you drove, you know. So it gets the guy took me out for one trip when I go after I got out of the Army, did one trip to pick up turkeys, come back, and they put me in a truck. And he said, the only thing I was doing wrong, I was always getting too close to the shoulder because I wasn't used to riding on a cab over. You ride on the center line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then when I get in my car, I do the same thing. And then my dad would get mad at me for being too far in the center of the road. You know, that's the way I was driving that cab over truck. I didn't get into a conventional truck until, gosh, 90. Well, see, I bought that truck so in 97. Before I got into a conventional truck was 1996, 97. Before I actually drove a truck with a hood on it. So
Right.
I had 11 years of a cab over before I got into a conventional truck.
So going back to the 80s and driving in the 80s, and how did deregulation in the 80s really affect trucking for you?
Yeah, see, I was deregulation was 1980. I started in 85, so
Okay.
still paper logs. You know, doing your logbooks, writing down your miles for every time you stop. You wrote down where you's at, your mileage, and did your calculator and whatever. Figure out how far you can drive and do your recap on yourself by your, you know, with a pen and paper and a calculator, doing your recaps. You know, 48-foot trailers. You know, we didn't have 53-foot trailers till later on. 48-foot, 96 wide trailers. You know, now you got longer trucks, bigger trucks, you know, more horsepower, whatever, you know. It's changed a lot, but I always kept up with it. Try to keep the CBs. Back then we didn't have cell phones. The CB, well, you talked. If you were going somewhere, you get on the CB. Hey, how do I get here? Somebody on the CB. Hey, I know how to get there. Follow me or whatever. You know, you had an atlas. You didn't have GPS. You know, you had an atlas, and you pull over to a truck stop and call in a phone booth. You know.
Yeah.
Calling cards.
Calling cards. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, and then you were in a factory truck stop. You had a phone in the booth in the restaurant. That was a factory truck stop there. You had a phone. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
You walk in the truck stop, you sit down at the booth, you get your coffee, you get your ice water. If you smoked, you had your cigarettes there, your ashtray there, you pop a couple quarters in the jukebox, turn the volume down, you got your Grand McNally. You're talking to dispatch, then you're calling your shipper, calling your receiver, and you're doing everything right there. You get up, you leave, you throw a couple bucks on the table for the nice waitress, and you walk out, and you get in your truck, you take off. Now,
that's right.
What happened to them days, Remy? They're gone. They're gone. You know,
it's just
everything's
on the screen on your truck on your Omnitrax. We got Omnitrax. You know, you don't talk to nobody. Everything's email or whatever. You just, you know, the talking, actually sitting down talking to people has really left the industry. Everything's fast food. There's very few good sit down restaurants you can park and go in there and sit down and have a good meal. You know, otherwise they want your money and they want you out. There's no place to park. If you park, you got to pay. You know, back in the day, I had a guy that would pull my truck into the wash bay and wash it and park it for me.
Right.
I drop the trailer, he'd drive my truck in the truck wash and park it for me. You know, that's the way it was, you know.
Yep. I remember an old truck stop over in Bainbridge, Georgia. You pull up there and fuel up, and there would be a guy there before you could start fueling. He would be washing your windshield for you.
Yep. There's still one in Missouri yet, in Modark, Missouri. Hood's truck stop. They will come out and wash your windows for you. Tip the guys. They're just young kids, you know. Tip them $3, $4, $5. They'll wash your windows for you. Fill your truck up for you. You know, tell them, hey, I want both tanks or how many gallons you want. Or if I got a reefer trailer, I'll fill a reefer up too. Yeah. Still in Modark, Missouri. Yep. Hood's truck stop. They still full service. Full service yet.
So Remy, how many states have you run?
I've run to all 48.
Yeah.
I've been just into Washington State because I delivered in Portland and went north, crossed the river, and then come over and back into Oregon. Just say that I was in Washington. So I've been to all lower 48 states. I tell people I've driven across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco in a truck. I've driven through the mountains in Pennsylvania. I've driven under the water in Virginia.
Yeah.
So,
man, that brings back memories. We used to run from Delaware down to North Carolina and run that bridge tunnel deal there.
The Delaware Memorial Bridge. That's what they call the Delaware Memorial. You go under the water twice there. Yep.
Right, and that was pretty awesome when you see the ship going crossed.
Yeah.
You come out the other side, and he was on your right. Now he's on your left, and it's like, holy cow!
I was in San Francisco 1 week and 4 hours early before that big earthquake hit out there during the World Series.
Wow!
And if you remember the double decker bridge that collapsed, I was on that bottom side a week and 4 hours earlier. I did a 15 stopper of turkeys out of Minnesota. I was delivering, right downtown San Francisco. Say across the Golden Gate Bridge with a semi, and then I went up to after I got I was supposed to get 3 drops off on Monday. I got 1, so they yelled at me for that. But I finished on Thursday. wasn't supposed to finish till Friday, so I went to Oregon, got Perry gift packs. That was going clear over to Indiana or Ohio. Then that earthquake hit, so I had my old AM radio station going across. Back west, I could hear the San Francisco station talking about the earthquake on my old AM radio station. Yep.
Wow.
Before we had XM radio and all the fancy stuff in these trucks now. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. You can even get the XM on your cell phone now and just stream it right into Bluetooth.
That's what I do. I just run it off the app in my truck.
Yeah. Yeah, I just we got in our truck, so I don't change the channel. I don't listen to any music. Very little music. It's either old time radio or sports. I can listen to golf on the radio because they have to explain every little detail to you, so you can picture it in your head.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Oh man,
that's like I was talking to Dave Demo there Friday, and I told him, I said, I started driving January '89, and I said, I remember the road gang when I was little. I was probably about 8-10 years old, around 76, 78. And Dad drove for Western Auto, and he'd park the truck in front of the house. And there was a vacant lot across the street, and he'd park. The last store he delivered on Friday was there in town. And then he'd take the truck back to St. Louis Sunday night, then go out, go down to Springfield and start delivering. But I said I used to sit in that cab over and tune into you guys. That's back when the old road gang usually was on 6 nights a week, and then I'd clean this truck for him, but I'd tune into the road gang, and listen to them old trucking stories of Charlie Douglas and all them Bozo and everybody, And I said, I drove 1 million miles and never left that dirt lot.
Yep.
Kind of like you, buddy. I mean, you just want to drive a truck and that's it. If you don't mind, talk a little bit about your owner operating days.
Yeah. I did that from I bought the truck. I drove the truck. It was an 87 cab over Peterbilt, and I drove it for like 3 or 4 months. And the guy said, "You want to buy it? We'll do the lease purchase buyout." That was $1,600 a month, with the option to buy it for $1 at the end of the lease. So, and I stayed with the same company that he had truck leased to, so I didn't change no company, and just run Missouri to Minnesota to Missouri, up North Dakota and back. I was home, and then I got married, moved down to Missouri, so I was home 3 nights a week. I sold that truck, and then I bought an '88 Volvo white conventional. That's when I had my first conventional, like 93 or 94, and then I drove that till 96. Sold that in April of 96, and then did about a little over a year for a local company in Missouri. Then I started with D&D August of 97. And back then I drove 110,000 miles a year. I think my average per mile was like $1.52 a mile with all my drops. I did dairy products out of Missouri for Mid-Am I go up to Minneapolis, up to Thief River Falls, over to Fargo, and then I bring cheese or potatoes back to Missouri.
Right.
I did that for almost 7 years. Yep. That was my time as an owner operator or whatever / nowadays these guys are releasing these trucks for $2,000 a week payments.
Yes.
I was paying $1,646 a month, and then my second truck was $900. It was just under $1,000 a month. I got financed through PACCAR, and it was less than $1,000 a month. I mean, now I just can't see how they do that. They're just working to pay the money. Yeah, shoot.
Today you can't even put a set of steer tires on for $1,000.
No, I would have $500 in my pocket for fuel and up to Missouri and back, or Minnesota to Missouri and back, and still have money left over. Now $500 don't even fill your tank up.
Oh, maybe a half tank. Maybe a half.
I remember in Jasper, Missouri, diesel was under $1 a gallon. and the Gulf War kicked in. It went to $1.67 a gallon. I said,
Right.
how am I going to make money paying $1.67 a gallon? Couldn't
Right.
understand. I mean, I thought, man, I'm going to lose money, but fuel surcharge and all the other stuff, so, but yep.
You know, got one of our listeners just texted me there, Matt Simon. He wanted to know where you grew up in Minnesota.
I was born close to where he lived. Matt from cities. I was born in Cannon Falls, grew up in a little town called New Trier, population maybe 100. Went to a Catholic school there. It was a 3-classroom school when I went. My dad went there. It was a 4-classroom school, 2 grades in each classroom. And that's where I went to school for 6 years. New Trier, Minnesota. Then I moved up north to Underwood, Minnesota in 79. Old Matt Simon, he's an old Minnesota boy. Yep,
Yeah.
He's a Minnesota.
There you go, Matt. There's your answer, brother. There's your answer.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
you know, you talked about them fuel prices. Missouri was always cheap on the fuel. Always cheap. We used to run Michigan to Arkansas. So you always get down there to Matthews, Missouri, and down in that area, and you get fuel for 99 cents a gallon and stuff like that.
Yep.
I remember I had an oil burning furnace there at the house, and we was running low, and we was going to trade it out and upgrade it. And father-in-law said, "You got that right fuel tank empty on that Mac." He said, "Just fill that thing up and bring it home. We'll burn it in that. You can burn it in your furnace." And he said, "You don't want to do it too much," but so that's what I did. I think I got that fuel for like 92, 95 cents a gallon, something like that,
Yep.
But boy, the good days. Now, what made you decide to get out of the owner operating?
It was I was married at the time, and I wanted to be home more, and then that ended up not working out because I didn't make enough money. So I drove for a local guy there hauling end dump and hot oil tanker into Tamco roofing and lime rock out of Carthage in the roof, and then I just went back on the road with D&D Sexton and went back over the road again. So it was just right. The truck was paid for and sold it, whatever it was, and got out of it and went on with it.
Everything all right, Tim? Okay. He's an engineer. He's a host.
I'm telling you, he's jack of all trades. I tell you, he's just going at it.
You know what? And knowing you like I do, we might as well get into a little bit of your accolades. You know, I was talking about what's going on with me tomorrow night and last week.
Yep. I'm rooting for you. I'll be pulling for you. Yep.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. You know,
I got mine back in 2018 for the state of Missouri.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
But like I said in the beginning, you know, you can agree or disagree. I don't know, but we don't do what we do every day for the awards and accolades.
No, that's
we do it because it's what we love to do. We do it because we pay the bills, and the big thing is, and you see this, Tim sees it, I see it, everybody out there listening to us sees it. Some of the moves people make, you know, sometimes you almost want to follow them off a ramp and say, "Hey, can I talk to you about what you just did?" You know, but you know that ain't going to work. That
ain't going to work. But you shake your head and you pray for them. So I hope they learn their lesson and don't do it again.
Exactly.
Yep.
Kind of tell us about, you know, we was just at Safety Drive.
Yep.
And TDC. How'd you get into TDC? What kind of TDC and stuff you did?
I did a rodeo in the Army in a deuce and a half. Back in 87, 86, or 87, not sure which one. But then when I got to D&D Sexton, my boss, Danny, said, if I want to do the truck rodeo. I said, heck yeah, I'll do it. And I was a deer in the headlights. Didn't know what I was doing, but I had a great time. I was hooked. And been doing it ever since. You know, so this year coming up, knock on wood, in June 6th and 7th will be my 25th year competing at the state level.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it would have been 27, but you know, COVID took 2 years of it away from us. But
yes,
it'll be 25 consecutive years with gosh, what I got 3 firsts, 6 seconds, 2 thirds, and then 23, I think it was. I got the Professional Excellence, the Steve Fields Professional Excellence Award. Name dropping there, old Steve Fields.
Steve's good man. Steve's good man.
He is a good guy.
Yes.
He is a good guy. Yep, yep. And then the last 4 or 5 years since 18, I think 18, 19, 22, 3, and 4, I've volunteered at nationals. I didn't qualify for nationals, so I went up there and volunteer as an equipment handler. And that's the next best thing to competing at nationals is being up there handling jockeying trucks around for these drivers get ready to go through the course and get them
Right.
all set up, windows cleaned, and ready to go. Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then yeah, that's that truck driving championship. That's fun stuff right there. That
Right.
is fun stuff.
Except for this.
Yeah, but you gotta read the book. Gotta read the book. Like Herschel Evans said, that's free points right there. It's free 80 points right there. If
Well,
get it,
you know, good friend of mine, Scott Woodrum. I'll drop a name there.
Yep.
He always says, he tells everybody, look, when you walk in there, they just give you 80 points. It's your job to keep. You go out and trip that truck, they give you 100 points. It's your job to keep them. Same way with the course. You've got 300 points right whenever you shut that door. It's your job to keep them. You know, it's your job. So, but I love it, man. I love it.
I do too. Missouri is one of the better. I mean, it's one of the bigger ones, not the biggest, but it's pretty good size. 260, 70, sometimes over 200 drivers. And the last 3 or 4 years, we've been doing it indoors down there in Branson, so it's a very tight indoors, not very big, and it's a good old time. You know, I've won by 3 points. I've lost by 3 points. I've won whatever. And 1 year I won in 16. The guy that got first place, that had first place, lost 100 points on the course for going overtime. And just great. Just, you know, it's fun. It's a good, friendly competition. You see your friends and new guys coming in, and guys that'll come 1 year and they say, I don't like this. I said, you ain't got to do it next year. Then you guys that come get off the course. Hey, I want to do this again. They said, you can next year. Stay safe, and don't have, you know, and keep driving, and you can do it again next year. Yep.
You know, and that's the thing. When you walk in the state, everybody that's there has qualified. And that means they have drove 12 months without an accident.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
And that is awesome. That is
totally
stuff.
Awesome. Yep.
But is it hard to be a volunteer at nationals?
Not for me, because to do it is hard work being an equipment handler. You're working 5 days, but I just talked to, I forget who I talked to. I think it was Steve. It might have been Steve Fields. I said, how do I get to be a volunteer? And he gave me, I think, Jacob Pierce's number somewhere, ATA, and I put in your application. And they said, yeah, come on. And all you can be is either equipment handler, or you can work in the store or whatever, you know. But being a driver, you can't be on the course. You can't be a judge or anything. And I did it in 18, and I was wore out, but I had a great time. And you see these guys get in the truck, and the newbies are nervous. The old guys know what they're doing, and you let them go, and you meet them on the finish line when they get out. You know.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
What you working on there, Tim? Trying to put things together there.
Yeah, I was trying to put some things together toward the end of the show there. So,
I hear you.
But
so, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Steve.
So, just kind of come up to current there. Do you have an area that you stay with CFI? Do you have a dedicated run, or you still run all over?
Wherever the load goes. I'm the temp control. I'm on the temp control side, but I pull dry boxes when they need to. 3M. Like I say, I got cheese on now. It could be a frozen load. It could be wherever the load goes. You know, like I say, I'm up here in Wisconsin and Minnesota. Last week when I left to take the drive for a Kier, I went to Concord, North Carolina. Went over to and reloaded in North Carolina with the Chillicothe, Ohio, and then over to Illinois. Or Indiana, Illinois, they got a load, and then whatever, it's just wherever the load goes, I go. But now I'm getting to the point where I like to get runs around the Midwest with my dad, who's going to be 87 or 88 in June. Be up there with him. He just went through prostate radiation for his prostate. He's he started driving truck in 1965 before I was born. And he drove up to last year part-time up there in Minnesota for a farmer. So he's got 59 years of trucking. I got 39 years. We get just about got 100 years between two of us. And I would like to be up there at least once a month, even just to swing in there, have lunch,
Right.
see how he's doing and going back, with my kids in Missouri, my dad's in Minnesota. That's where I would like to get on a regular run doing that,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So you do live in Missouri then? You're not living
I live in Webb City, Missouri, which is like 5 miles from the yard there.
Right.
I got, my kids are in Mount Vernon. I got one boy in Mount Vernon. I got a daughter, 2 daughters, and 3 grandkids in Republic and Springfield area. And my dad and my brothers and sisters are all up there in Minnesota. So and I got family up there. So it's just, that's where I'd like to be, after all these years doing it. I think it's time for me to be doing that more than anything else. Just get on a good run that's around there, whatever, Texas, whatever,
Right.
back to Missouri, Minnesota, North Dakota, but yep, that's what I'm shooting for right now.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So-
do you have your favorite places you like to run?
Yeah, Midwest right now, Minnesota, Texas,
that.
Midwest. Yep, pretty much. Yep, you get me up there, I'm happy. It's up there where Dad lives in Otter Tail County. There's 1,000 lakes in that county alone.
Right.
There's not a straight road out there. You got to go around a lake or a swamp or whatever. It's just, and then back to Missouri. It's I've been. There's every place you go to, there's something new you see. Anywhere you go in the United States, there's always
Right.
It's just a great country to go across from corner to corner, up north and south.
Right. Now, kind of jumping around here, I guess, but like during the COVID, they had truck drivers locked out of restaurants and all this stuff.
Yep.
Did you pick up, the stove and stuff in your truck and cook in your truck?
Yeah, I got a refrigerator and I got a microwave, and I'll do that. Whatever, loaf of bread and a case of water and milk and cereal and a couple of frozen dinners. You put in the freezer. Yeah, you do that. But we never slowed down. You didn't slow down. The freight will move. It just changed the way we would check in. You wouldn't go inside. It was
Right.
contactless. Unloading whatever. It just changed the way we delivered and received and pick up stuff. But other than that, I never slowed down a bit. It was nice because traffic was around the big cities. You could fly right through them. There was no traffic around the big cities. There was no rush hour.
Exactly.
Everybody was
evening.
Yeah. You could fly right through anything. It didn't bother me one bit at all.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So you're talking about 1,000 lakes just out of curiosity. You carry a fishing pole and a little tackle box with you?
I do not. If I'm going to go fishing, truck's going to be parked at the house. I'll be in my car going somewhere fishing, whatever. I'm not going to do with the truck, but I know guys that have done it, but yeah, I just,
right.
You get up there in Minnesota in wintertime, they just, they'll park their ice house on the lake.
Right.
I know Tim wouldn't know nothing about that down in Georgia, about ice fishing and racing cars on ice and,
Nope. Nope. I don't know anything. The only thing I know is that we had a snow, which we had 8 inches earlier this year, and it kind of collapsed my screen enclosure of my pool. Man, oh man.
If you're in Minnesota, anything less than a foot is just a dusting. Anything above 0 is warm up there. So,
You're right. I've been to Minnesota a couple times there, and I'm glad to come on back down south here. For sure. So tell us a little bit about your TDC wins that you've had over the years. Some of the accomplishments there.
TDC takes 3 times at state. And my dad told me he would come watch me if I ever won state to go to nationals. So in 2005, I got first place, and I called my dad. I said, Dad, I got first place. We're going to Florida. And then the next year, I got first place by 3 points, 4 drivers. Don't know how I did that, but it was crazy. I had 330, and second, third, and fourth had 327.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got, I got six second place finishes, and then my last first place was in 2016. And then, and I got 2 thirds. But yeah, I'm going to try again this year for my 25th time. The Nationals, my best at Nationals was 16 when I got 12th place in Nationals in the tanker class up there in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah.
But yep. But it's just truck drive. That truck rodeo stuff. That's I eat that stuff. I talk about it all the time. Everybody, it's what I mean. People, it's what I want to do. And people say, "What's about?" I said, "Well, come watch." Before, it used to be in spring, used to be in Joplin, Missouri, all the time, outdoors. I said, "Come watch it. If it tickles your fancy, next year come compete."
Right.
Right.
But some guys just not. They don't want to do it. They do it one time, and they said, "That's not my cup of tea." I said, "That's fine." But for me, it's what I stay safe for, for that year, so I have that ability or the opportunity to compete, and now this year being Nationals in Minnesota, it's got an extra incentive for me because I want to be able to go up there in Minnesota with all my family up there and show them
Right.
what I've been doing for the last 24, 25 years,
Right.
competing wise.
Exactly.
So
Right. And it does get into your blood, and it does make you a better driver because you're trying to stay
it does.
safe
It
year to
does.
year,
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
Remy,
Yep.
tell us some of the things that you've seen over the years, over the span of your trucking, some of the, the good, the bad, and the ugly. How about that?
Well, the good, I guess trucks have gotten better, more efficient, that far as ride wise and stuff like that. The e-logs, electronic logs, yeah, that's what it is. But it's a lot less hassle for us, drawing lines and writing down your mileage. It's all done on the system. The bad, it's we get these where the schools were kicking these people out so fast, they got no experience. Or these companies, I don't know how some of these companies are, they train them, and 6 months later, they are a lead driver training. I trained for 8 years, and about 65 drivers I had in 8 years. Some were fresh out of school, some were just needed a week or two. But I just can't see if somebody's got less than a year running a team and running and trying to train somebody. You need at least, I would say, a minimum 5 years, maybe even 10.
Mhm.
And through the years, you see these towns some of these roads that I drove through that are now interstates or 4-lane roads. 22 down there, which is 78 out of Memphis all the way to Birmingham. That used to be a 2-lane road. You went through all the towns. Now it's a 4-lane interstate all the way from Memphis. You get on 55 for a little bit, get on, and now it's called Interstate 22. It's all interstate now. I mean, a lot of these roads that we drove back in the day are now expanded, whatever. It's just, it's the growth of the towns you come into that back in the day were just fields. Now there's houses and businesses and whatever. Just how these towns have grown over the years. It's just, you just shake your head. You're like, wow, that used to be a field back 20 years ago. Now it's a subdivision, or a industry or whatever, industrial park or something. It just grown so much.
Right. And things have changed. Some of them is for the good, some of them is not so good, but
Yep.
it's the part of the trucking industry that you got to learn to adapt to.
Yes.
Change is going to happen. Things are going
Yep.
to happen. I mean,
Yep.
you
Even like Atlanta, the loop around Atlanta is outgrown. Atlanta has outgrown the loop around it. You need another bypass around Atlanta.
He deals with that every day. Hey,
Oh my word!
I'm gonna tell you right now. I flew to Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, picked up a truck, and I had to go down to Darien, Georgia, just south of Savannah, about 40, 50 miles. Yep. And I come down, was it 675, Tim?
675.
675. Yep. I come 675 to merge in with 75. And there's like 8 lanes across there, and all these things are stopped. And I was thinking of him. I thought, how does he deal
every day?
Every
day.
And the only problem was a motorcycle cop with a pickup truck. That was it. I'm like, what are you people doing?
It don't take much. It don't take much.
All it takes is one little thing. Yep.
40
years, 40 years and 4 million miles. I've seen it. You've seen it all. And but then again, you might find something new tomorrow. You'll see something new tomorrow.
That's right. Yep. Well, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and if some of y'all want to call in and talk to Remy or ask him some questions or whatever, you're welcome to call in, and we'll see if these phone lines work. You can call 251-616-2151. We sure would appreciate your calls tonight. I see a lot of comments in the comment section there. So y'all call that phone line and we'll stay on the air for a few more minutes there. We got about 15 minutes left on the air. So y'all call in now, 251-616-2151. I'm going to put it in the chat, and that way y'all can have the number there. Go ahead, Steve.
Remy, I was going to say my first job was Riss International. I went to work for them in January '89.
Yep.
And I had to go out with a trainer for 4 weeks. Now, what I liked about Riss, when you got the job, you took a road test.
Yep.
When you come off your trainer, you took a road test.
Yes.
And then at 90 days, you took a road test. And I think 180 days, you took a road test.
Yep.
But what they did to me, and just kind of pat myself on the back here, I was pretty exceptional because I was like you. That's all I ever wanted to do was drive a truck. So I focused solely on that. And I had one of the best trainers you could ever ask for.
Yep.
And we ended up staying together 2 extra weeks because all the winter weather and everything, we could never get back to Kansas City.
Yep.
So him and I was out running the team. Yeah.
We got a call coming in. Let's see who this is. Hey, welcome to Truckers Voices. Who do we have on the line tonight?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. We'll keep it stay on
Hello. Who do we have on the line?
Okay. Hey, welcome to Truckers Voices. Who do we have on the line tonight? Hello.
Hello.
This is Remy's dad.
Oh,
Hey.
Pops. How you doing, Pops?
Remy's dad.
How you doing, sir?
Hello. Who do we have on the line? I'll hear him on my phone. Oh, wait.
Hey, if you could turn down the broadcast in the background, you could probably hear us a little better.
You got him to tell him that when we went to Texas this year, and that we seen a train and a truck that were lit together. We seen we were bird's eye view.
Yep. That was in Adair, Oklahoma. We come up there to get on 69 South, and the train. There's a railroad tracks. The light gets you on 69. Yep. Can you hear us, Dad? Hello. There you go. But we watched that. I seen the truck stop. I said, Dad, that truck is still on the tracks. The arm come down, and sure enough, old coal train come by and just to cut that trailer in half.
Ooh.
Bent it around right in front of us. Yeah, he wasn't going very fast, but we watched it right in front of us. Yep.
Ooh.
Remy, he's hearing the background noise too, so it's kind of got a delay because he's got the background noise.
I think he's probably got the. Tell Tuffy to turn the volume down on the show. He might be all right. Yep. Yep, we're getting the feedback through there.
Yeah.
Are you still on? I don't know.
He's still. You're still
on, Dad.
Is that better? I can't hear him.
Hey, we're here. We're here. Can you hear us now, sir?
Tell Tuffy to turn the volume down on the show. He might be all right.
Okay, I did.
All right. So
yeah, we're listening to you.
Hey,
all right, Pops.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling in tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, we'll listen to him. We'll just say we'll hang up and listen to him. Otherwise, you can't hear him.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank y'all for calling.
He'll be 88 June 9th. He'll be 88 years old.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yep.
We had another.
He used to back up two trailers at a time there at hauling milk, and he always would tell the guys at the truck rodeo, when you back up doubles, I'll compete.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Remy. And yeah, I think he was kind of getting confused between the broadcast because it's delayed on the other end.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, my sister's there with him, so she probably got the computer or whatever up, and it's getting the old feed circle there. Yep.
Yeah.
And we got another phone. Let's break in here with another call, okay?
All right.
Who we got?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Atkinson. How you doing? Hey, Ben, you there? Hey, Ben, have you got a copy on us? Ben? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Hey, Ben, you there?
Hey, Dan, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, Ben. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I heard a little glad to be up there. You know, I'm a 36-year guy, but I'm still you know what I mean? It's a great experience for me. I'm looking at your picture there, that big old cowboy hat. Y'all still wear those big old things?
He said he's looking at your hat there and the big old cowboy hat. You still wear those things?
Only when not when I'm driving. I don't wear my hat when I drive. But,
Did you
yep.
hear him, Ben?
No, there's a disconnect here, but you know, I love the show, support the show, and what I love to hear, and I'll say it real quick, is family. You know, his father, the truck driving family, the new rookies family. You know, everybody's welcome, and it's such a great experience. You know, such a great time. You know, in this life for all of us to be.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that
sir.
On this show.
Yep.
It's
Totally agree. Totally agree. It
Heck
is
yeah.
definitely a family deal.
Yep.
So little surprise. We got a guest coming on hopefully next Thursday, and that's what he's going to talk about: his family and the TDC. You know, it's just one big family.
Yes,
And
it is.
just okay. Just like a couple of weeks ago, we went to the safety drive. I don't think you and I seen us since the last safety drive, but it didn't take but 2 or 3 minutes to rekindle. You know,
Yep.
and that's what family's about.
still got me on there.
Still got you on here, Ben, but we're having a problem with the line here. So I'm going to let you go, man, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Good to see you. Talk to you later. Hope you feel better.
Thank you. All right, that's Mr. Ben Atkinson. He drives for ABF Freight there.
Yep.
Man, that thing was firing off good earlier.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. But what back to my story with Riss. Riss decided that they would take a trainee and put with another trainee and work them together.
Yep.
And you know what they would try to do is take one that knew what was going on and one was having trouble to help each other.
Hey, who do we have on the line here in Truckers Voices?
Yeah, my name's Dwayne, a longtime friend of Remy.
Dwayne, let me see if I can get the volume up here. We're having a problem with the phone line.
Yeah, see that.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Dwayne. I can hear you.
Now we got you. I got it fixed there, Dwayne. Go ahead and talk to Remy.
Hey, Remy's a longtime friend from Minnesota too.
Yep, he's an old Minnesota boy. Yeah, we are.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Remy.
Yep,
He's listening.
we've competed.
He can hear you.
We've competed against him. I've competed against him at that state
Competed,
for many
with Remy
years.
for the last 20 years at the Missouri TDCs.
Oh yeah. Well, that's awesome, and he can hear you there. So, man,
Yep.
well, we do appreciate you calling in and everything tonight on Truckers Voices.
Yeah, I just told him I'd be watching tonight, so I just want to let him know I was here watching. It was a great interview.
Thank you. Sir.
Thanks,
It's-
Dwayne.
Yes, sir. He said thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you, guys. Yep,
Yep.
thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. That's old Dwayne Grimes from Prime. I've been competing against him for, like say, 20 years over at the TDCs.
Oh yeah. If you tried to call in and I couldn't get to you, try to call back. I know there's a couple calls that tried to call in whenever I was taking the call. So just try to call back there if you tried to call in just then. But I tell you what, Remy, you got a pretty good following out there.
Can't hide nowhere, you know. Can't hide anywhere. But like Steve, like you say, you were training. When I trained, you know, we didn't train like a team. I sat in that side seat, and they did all the driving. And I know they're not in trucking shape. I said, you give me what you can, but we still have a load to deliver on time, and we will get it done. You know. But yeah, it was. And I would just say, you know, they wanted to ask, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do you do this? I said, it's seat time, doing it over and over and over, backing in. How do I know when to turn the truck to bring it around? I said, when you just seat time, just keep doing it over and over and over. There's times you'll back in like nothing to it. Next time you can't hit the broadside of the barn from the inside. It's just, it is what it is, you know.
Exactly. But this position I was talking about with Riss, I had just come off a trainer, got my own truck assigned to me. And I went out, come back, and they called me in the office and they said, "Hey, we're going to try something new. We've got some trainees that are having some issues, and we would like to put 2 trainees in the truck to teach each other. And I said, okay, that's cool. Well, we took off, and the young lady had an attitude. Go ahead.
Welcome to Truckers Voices. Who do we have on the line tonight?
Hey, Tim, it's Matt Simon. How's it going tonight?
Hey, Matt. How you doing tonight, brother?
Excellent. Remy, I want to tell you, I didn't know you grew up in Minnesota, and I would have never guessed it. But you grew up about an hour from me. And you ever get back up in this area and you want to go do some fishing, you give me a call and we'll go out and do some fishing.
Shoot, yeah.
That's an invitation right there, Remy.
That is. Yep. You get down there, if you ever get down there to New Trier, Minnesota, Dan's Bar and Grill there in the back of the patio, I got a door hanging back there with my name on it, a truck door.
He said he appreciates that, Matt, and anyway, he said if he gets down there, he would definitely hook up with you on that fishing there, right?
Yep.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Are you having a hard time hearing the guest?
Yeah, I can't hear Remy at all.
Okay. I must be this in line that I got going here. I was trying something different. Now I can hear you good. You can hear me good, but I guess it's not
good. Yep.
Yeah, they can hear you good too, Matt.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't hear Steve or Remy at all.
Okay. All right. Well, all right, man. Well, we appreciate you calling in, and man, thank you for listening to Truckers Voices, and we'll be on the replay in the morning.
Thank you, Tim. See ya.
See you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
All right, so I got to do some more technical work.
That's way over my pay grade. I can't help you on that. That's over my pay grade. I don't.
One of these days we're gonna get it figured out. I thought I had it all figured out there.
Yeah. But back to the trainee training the trainee, working together, you know.
Yeah.
And she had an attitude. She said, I know how to drive a truck. You just need to show me how to do the paperwork. My last two trainers didn't work with me on very good on that. So I'm like, okay. So we take off out of Kansas City and we're going to it's outside of Dallas there. And we was going to thank on it. I can't think of it. Big tool warehouse. But anyhow, I was kind of draped over the doghouse, grabbed a pillow, and I said, wake me up when we get here. We was coming down 75 and on the north side of Dallas. Well, I dozed off big time. And I woke up, I looked around, I see the Petro sign. We're headed out West Texas. We're hammered down. We're 50 miles west of where we're supposed to be. She said, what do we do now? I said, why didn't you wake me up? Because I knew where I was going. I said, if you knew where you was going, what the hell are we doing out here? But, that just proves it right there that sometimes it don't always work out,
Oh, yeah. You can tell. I can tell by the first 2-3 hours whether they're going to work out or not.
Right.
And some guys pick it up right away. Some guys I've had where back when I first started training, I had a manual truck. And they couldn't shift. I said, well, we're going to hold hands. I said, don't look at it the wrong way, but we're going to shift together. And I would go through the pattern with my hand on top of theirs, go through the pattern. They'd figure it out, and off they go. It's just, and they once they figure it out, but then some just don't get it. You just know this ain't going to work for you. It's just not going to cut it.
Yeah. So when I put her on a bus in Dallas, like 2 weeks later, after she about killed us. I just went in and called dispatch, said I'm done. Yep. He said, well, where's she at? I said, taking a shower. He said, put her bags at the fuel desk and I'll get her a bus ticket. I said, okay, see you. But I didn't train anymore for risks. And then the next company I worked for, they asked me to be a trainer. And I had a blast. I had 4 or 5 guys and I had a blast. But I get a kick out of, like you said, the ones that put the heart and soul in it, that have trouble shifting. So I'd get to snapping the fingers, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and I said, that's where you go from gear to neutral to a gear.
Yeah.
And you lay back there in the bunk, you really don't sleep, but you're laying back there in the bunk and you hear them snapping their fingers, 1, 2, 1, 2, the gears. And then the big thing is reading the signs. They're not paying attention. And you got to get them got to get them reading the signs. And
Yep.
you're back there, you hear them reading them signs. Read them signs. Make sure the eyes are moving. Eyes are moving. Get that big picture.
I never had a GPS on that train. I never had a GPS in my truck. He said, how do we know we're going to go? I said, I'm your GPS. I'll tell you where to turn. And then later on, you get your atlas out, you'll look, and then you'll figure it out. The big old green signs out there tell you where to turn, where to go. Big green signs out there.
Until you get to downtown Chicago or New York City.
And there you just go to here, Crunch. That way you got a little bridge, you stop and back up to go a different way.
There you go.
Remy, I want to tell you some of the comments I've gotten reading here from YouTube. And it's Rochelle Hanson, which I think is your sister.
Yep.
And she says, they love you very much. And then Jeff Compton, he says, Northern Redneck Super Trucker. And we got Dwayne Grime on here. TDC is like a smoking habit. David Pell, they talking about you being a legend for sure, Remy. Just Sean Daves, that says he'll see you in Branson.
Yep.
So a lot of comments on here and a lot of comments over on Facebook, But it's been almost an hour now, believe it or not, that we've been talking. We try to end the show after an hour there, but it flew by. It is that time. The music is starting to play in the background.
All right.
But we're going to end it here. But Remy, we always end with a note of safety and encouragement for the trucking and the motoring public. So if you could just start us off, and we'll go by Steve, and then I'll close the show out.
You got to be safe every mile, every minute of every trip out there. Stay safe.
All right. What would you tell to an up and coming young person wanting to get into the trucking industry, Remy?
Find something. Find the job you want to do, whether it's over the road, local, flatbed, reefer. Find one, pick it, and have fun.
Pick it and have fun. There you go.
That's right.
Steve-O, hang with us, Remy, until we go off there, okay?
Okay. Yeah, hang with us, Remy.
Yep.
Man, appreciate y'all tuning in. Remy, appreciate you being on. It's a great show. Appreciate all your congratulations, your thoughts, your prayers, and everything. We'll let you all know via Facebook tomorrow night. And I look at it this way: win or lose, I'm a winner. Always a winner. And on that note, you're always a winner because you make the most important trip, the trip home.
All right, listening audience, we thank y'all. We want to remind you that we are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, where else we have Apple Podcasts, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you want to get your truckers' voices fixed, you can find it. We make it real easy for you to find. And this episode will re-air in the morning at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube again. So, Remy, you can tune in and listen to yourself tomorrow. How about that?
Perfect.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night. The weekend is upon us. Everybody's traveling for spring break, going to wherever they're going to. And we got to look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. See you next week right here on Truckers Voices.
Engines roar on a moonlit stage. Steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night. Tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. All in dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. All in dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we